Hello, Algebra 1. So yesterday we talked about standard form and vertex form, and today we're going to talk about one more form of quadratics, which is called intercept form. So this is actually a form that you know about already. It is another name, kind of a more specific name, for what we called factored form from Unit 8. Okay, so intercept form looks like this. All right, and so let's look at what that actually means. So we're going to graph the parabolas below and we're going to identify their zeros or x-intercepts. Okay, again, zeros and x-intercepts are the exact same thing. So I'm just going to go to Desmos here and I'm going to type this in: x plus 2, x minus 3. Okay, and we're going to find those zeros, and we have a negative 2 and a positive 3. Okay, you do not need to actually draw a picture. Okay, we're just looking at the zeros. All right, so now let's try the next one. Negative 2, and we have an x plus 4 and an x minus 6. Okay, and I can't see the whole thing, but that's all right. I really just care about the zeros. See, it goes all the way up there. My zeros are at negative 4 and positive 6. Okay, and you're probably noticing a pattern here. Last one, 1/4 x minus 3 squared. Get rid of this. Now notice this one only has one zero at 3, 0. All right, so notice how the x-intercepts are the opposites of each of the factors, just like when we did zero product property, or ZPP, back in Unit 8. This means we can find the x-intercepts or zeros without a calculator when we are in intercept form. And you can also still find the orientation and shape as well by looking at that a value. So here's intercept form again. Again, that a value is going to be in charge of your shape and orientation. And p, 0 and q, 0 are going to be your x-intercepts or zeros. All right, so we should be able to identify all three of these things without even typing this into our calculator. Okay, orientation and shape come from your a value. Oops, that's not an a value. A value is going to be the number in front, right there. Okay, so here orientation, this is a positive, so we are up. It is a number that is between 0 and 1, so that is wide. Over here, 5 is a negative, so it is down. And 5 is a number bigger than 1, so this is narrow. Okay, and finally, I know there's an x here, but really it's the number in front of that x. Your a value is actually a positive 1. So a positive, again, means we are up, and when a is 1, our shape is normal. Okay, so now just think of zero product property again. Your x-intercepts or zeros are just going to switch your signs. So this is a minus 2. We'll have a 2, 0, and it's a plus 1. So we'll have a negative 1, 0. Okay, so what that means is when we were solving by zero product property all last unit, what we were really doing was we were finding those zeros, okay, of the parabola, all right? So we didn't really talk about the graph last semester, but graphically that's what we were doing. We were finding those x-intercepts. All right, this one, positive 8 becomes a negative 8. Positive 2 becomes a negative 2. All right, and finally, this one's a little weird. This is just an x. Think about what that would mean. Think about when you solved what you got. That one's going to be a 0, 0 and a 1, 0. And again, nothing stops you from actually graphing this and taking a look at it. All right, so now we're going to review all three quadratic forms. Write an equation of a parabola in intercept form, so that's the one we just learned, that would have a narrow shape, opens down with zeros at negative 3, 0 and 5, 0. All right, so make sure you have that y equals, and there are lots of different possible answers here, but the thing that you absolutely have to have is you have to have a negative. We need some sort of number that's bigger than 1, which is going to make this narrow. I'm going to go with a 5. And then if you have a 0 at negative 3, you need an x plus 3. And if you need a 0 at 5, 0, we need an x minus 5. Okay, this number right here can change to many different things as long as it is more than 1. Okay, any of those answers would be great. All right, number 8, write an equation of a parabola in vertex form that would have a wide shape, opens up with a vertex at -9, 8. All right, vertex form, remember, has our parentheses squared. Also remember that vertex form, we change the first sign, so this would be an x plus 9 here. The other sign stays the same, so that's a +8. Now I need a wide shape opening up, so that has to do with my a value. Wide shape was some sort of fraction between 0 and 1. Opens up means it needs to be a positive. Okay, so that one's all set. Describe how the graph of y equals 4x minus 5 squared minus 6 would look. Make sure to discuss vertex, orientation, and the shape. All right, so I know my vertex would be change the sign, keep the sign, positive 5, -6, change the sign, keep the sign. I also know that my orientation is, since this is a +4, up. And I also know that the shape, because this is a 4, it's more than 1, it would be narrow. All right, and again, you have some vocab words in the little word bank to help you if you're not sure what to say. All right, so now we're going to see if we can identify our vertex, our axis of symmetry, orientation, shape, y-intercept, and zeros without actually graphing. Okay, remember the vertex form is helpful to find the vertex. Standard form helps us find the y-intercept. And intercept form, we use it to find the zeros or the x-intercepts. Okay, so we're going to start with one that has numbers, and then we're actually going to move to this one that has some shapes. Okay, so clearly you're not going to be able to type this one into your calculator. This one you could, but we're going to try to do it without. Okay, so I'm looking for vertex. That means I want to go to vertex form, change the sign, keep the sign. Axis of symmetry always goes from the vertex. Remember, it's going to be x equals, and it'll be -2. Orientation and shape I can take from any form. It is that a value in front. It is a +2. Positive means it's up. The 2 means it's narrow. Y-intercept I take from standard form. Remember, you are plugging 0 in for all of your x's. So that's going to be cancels, cancels, and what's left is -10. That's a 0. And finally, our zeros come from intercept form. And again, this is what we were just working on. It's always the opposites. So it's going to be -5, 0, and 1, 0. All right, and you could confirm all of that by actually graphing it. So now we're going to do the same thing, but with pictures. I know you're excited. All right, so once again, vertex comes from vertex form. Change the sign, keep the sign. So this will be a negative square and a star. Axis of symmetry is always x equals x coordinate of your vertex. So that's a negative square. Here, I'll color it in so it looks exactly like the original one. Orientation is based on your a value. These were actually numbers. It's a positive, so this is up. And it's a fraction between 0 and 1, so it is wide. All right, y-intercept is from standard form. You're plugging a 0 in for x. Cancel, cancel. What's left is our sad face. Make sure you have a 0 comma. And finally, our zeros, we do the opposites. So you're going to have a negative heart, comma 0, and a positive check mark, comma 0. And there you go. All right, so if you can do this one, you know how to find everything you need from those 3 forms. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and try to find as much information as we can without a calculator first. And then we will go ahead and graph to find the rest. Because we have our two set of parentheses, this is our new form, intercept form. Okay, vertex, I don't know by looking at that. Axis of symmetry, I need the vertex, but I can do shape and orientation. Positive means it's up, 1/2 means it's wide. The other thing I can find are my zeros, because again, you're going to do the opposites. So I'd have a 4, 0 and a -8, 0. Okay, and now I'm actually going to go ahead and graph this. And I can use that to confirm what I just wrote, but also to check for the other information. Okay, so let's see, -8, 0, 4, 0. That should be what I had. It is definitely up. I also need my vertex, my y-intercept. Okay, so that's the picture we're going to draw. Okay. So I have 4, 0. I have -8, 0. I had 0, -16. And what was that guy again? -2, -18. All right, vertex was the -2, -18. So our axis of symmetry is x equals -2. And our y-intercept is 0, -16. All right, one last equation to graph. So we have -3x squared plus 8x. This has no parentheses at all. That means this will automatically be standard form. And we can't find the vertex yet. We can't find the axis of symmetry yet. Orientation though, here's my a value. It is negative, so this is going to be down. The 3 is between 0 or is more than 1, so that makes it narrow. And the other thing I can find is my y-intercept. So again, you're plugging a 0 in for x, 0 in for x, and actually everything's gone, which means we're at 0, 0. Okay, and we will confirm that once we graph. So let's go ahead and type it in. -3x squared plus 8x. All right, so notice you do have a y-intercept at 0, 0. That's also one of your zeros though. It's kind of pulling double duty. And then our vertex is going to be at 1.33, 5.33. And we have another 0 at 2.67. Okay, 2.67. So let's go ahead and graph this. Make sure you go through the origin. Okay, so it's only 3 points this time because the y-intercept is also a 0. This one was 2.670, and then we can fill in that info. Vertex 1.33, 5.33. Axis of symmetry is always x equals, and then that x coordinate, and then your zeros, you are going to list 0, 0 a second time here. Okay, and there you go. That's it. Hope you have a great day. Bye.